everyone. I'm Rochelle Chernowski. This is Shell Point Today for Tuesday, June 25th. On today's show, we explore the connection between psychologist B.F. Skinner and the biblical character of Moses. We'll also go sailing with Ted and Mary Boynton, whose transatlantic adventures have been documented in a new book being reviewed this afternoon. But first, a few notes about some Shell Point facilities that are on hiatus. The social center on the island is closed for renovation and will reopen in mid-July. Any events planned for the social center will be relocated, so be sure to check the weekly reminder for the latest information. The island swimming pool is now closed permanently to make way for a new aquatic center. Construction fences are being installed through the end of the year, which means some of the roads around the pool will be closed, so you'll have to take the long way to get to the Manatee Room and the Legacy Foundation. Last week, some residents bid farewell to the island pool in their own special way by having a pizza party on the last day and enjoying one final swim.
We've enjoyed the pool for the last 5.5 years, and of course look forward to the new pool, but it's been a great time to exercise and just enjoy the people here, and of course the water is always great. So we're looking forward to the next phase of the aquatic center here at Shell Point.
When I first moved here, I saw that beautiful lake, what I thought was a lake, the river outside my apartment, and I wanted to swim it. And people said, "Oh, you can't swim in there because there's alligators and there's shark and it's dirty." And I saw somebody windsurfing, and I said, "How did you like the water there?" You know, he had a wetsuit on. And he said, "It's fine." I said, "Is it clean?" "Wonderful." I was in the next day. And then I decided this is so convenient. When I moved over here to Royal Bonnet, I could walk over to this pool. I thought, I'm going to swim in that pool. So we got to be friends. And Elva came up with this great idea of having this party. So I just collected the money and made the phone calls.
And it's been wonderful fun for us all these many months. We get in and we kick just like Dr. Becker told us to. And that's why we can eat so much pizza today.
I've been coming to the pool for 21 years.
It's good.
How's that?
It's good. Very good.
And what I like about it is meeting all these nice people. I've made many new friends.
And they're all wonderful people. And we especially are thrilled with our new folks, Debbie and Ed.
Well, I'm looking forward to the new, more beautiful pool. We have been here before. We have visited a number of times and have always enjoyed the pool when we've been here. And when we learned that they were going to rebuild, the aquatic center, I was very excited. I think it's going to be a great addition, and we look forward to it. I just wish it was sooner rather than all the way to Christmas. But we'll manage. We'll go to the Woodlands and the Health Club pool until then. So I'm really excited about it. You have very good recreation, and then when the grandkids come to visit, they're going to be really excited about it. Obviously, it's very limited when you live in the Chicago area to, a few months out of the year. I'm looking forward to doing this a lot more often in the falls and springs when it's still warm here.
Hi, all new neighbors. It's wonderful to be here. We're excited, and it just is a wonderful place to be, and we're really, really happy to be here.
Even with the island pool closing for the rest of the year, there are plenty of alternatives for swimmers. The island's Health Club pool has received permitting that allows it to be open through the end of the year, so you are free to exercise there. The Woodland swimming pool is a great destination, especially if you enjoy lap swimming. And the Eagles Preserve pool has a little bit of everything, including a hot tub. To access any of these pools, just hop on the Blue Route bus, which leaves the island's admin circle on the 15 and 45 of every hour. And the Shell Point Garage is also going on hiatus very soon. Bonnie and Jerry Miles are taking their annual summer vacation, and so the garage will be closed starting Monday, July 1st. They will reopen for normal business starting Monday, July 22nd. If you have any automotive questions, feel free to call the Shell Point Garage at 454-2135. Now to today's events. A trio of doctors will tell us about the holistic impact of humor. This free Academy class happens today at 1 p.m. in the Grand Cypress Room, and all are welcome. And later tonight, it's a sweet night of summer music with the young pianist Noah Waddell. He'll present an evening of delightful music followed by some delightful desserts. Please note the change of location. It all happens tonight at 7 p.m. in the church auditorium. Later this week, Pastor Andy Hawkins from the Village Church is offering a fascinating presentation he gave in Israel last year. What does psychologist B.F. Skinner have to do with the biblical figure of Moses? Find out at this Academy event happening Thursday at 1 p.m. in the Grand Cypress Room at the Woodlands. Here's a preview.
Hello, everyone. I'm Terry Kolath. I'm here today with Andy Hawkins, senior pastor of the Village Church, and we're talking about a program in the Academy of Lifelong Learning, B.F. Skinner Meets Moses. Thank you so much for joining me, Pastor Andy.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
I think the question all of us would have is, how did this come about? How did it come about that you were in Israel talking to Israeli scientists and coming up with this topic?
Well, it's very interesting because obviously I've had another life other than being a pastor. Okay. I've taught at West Virginia University for 32 years, and in an area that has nothing whatsoever to do with religious studies. It had to do with teacher education in the College of Physical Activity and Sports Sciences, so it's kind of a strange background. But part of my expertise in that area, in teacher education, was the study of behavior. So I am, by training, a behavior analyst. And and behavior analysis has to do with the scientific approach to the study of why people do what they do. And I have a dear friend who's Israeli. And so he'd been involved in our lives from time to time, and as a matter of fact, when he was in the States, he's been in our home, and so we've enjoyed having some good fellowship with him and his wife, and so we've gotten to know them very well, and it turns out he's probably one of the top behavior analysts in the world. Oh. And so I had a paper accepted at a conference in Israel, and a different kind of conference, but I contacted my friend, whose name is Eitan, and I needed to have him invite me to speak so I could stay in Israel a little longer. You know, it's one of those kinds of things. You can't stay in the country if you're in the middle of a teaching semester just to visit. You know, you have to have a reason to stay there. Right. And so he said, well, we'll put together a conference in behavior analysis. He was the president of the Israeli Association for Behavior Analysis, and he said, what do you want to talk about? And so I gave him a list of things related to behavior analysis, and he said you can make 2 presentations. So I gave him a half dozen things that I could talk about. And then he got back to me and he says, well, why don't you talk about this one? And then on your second presentation, why don't you talk about behavior analysis and religion? Sort of came out of the blue. I had no idea he was even interested in that kind of topic for the people that he had in mind for this conference, who were Israeli behavioral scientists working usually in education or mental health fields, that kind of thing. And so I said, that's great. He obviously knew I was a pastor and had interest in that kind of area. And so he invited me to talk about behavior analysis and religion.
So you injected some thoughtfulness into what they're doing.
I would hope so. Yeah. And so I got the nature of the presentation really is, okay, what did I tell these people about behavior analysis and religion? And there are some common things that biblical religion has with behavior analysis. I think foundational things, as a matter of fact. And then there are some differences. Mm-hmm. And so that was the nature of the presentation.
But we are really looking forward to hearing the results of your lecture, and grateful that you're going to share it with us. So please, if you have signed up, join us. We'll be in the Grand Cypress Room from 1 to 2:30. And this is a full presentation, but as always, we have some empty seats. So if you'd like to just come and wait and see if there's an empty seat, we'll be glad to put you in it when the presentation begins. This is a wonderful opportunity for us with our senior pastor, Andy Hawkins.
This afternoon, all are invited to join us for Library Book Talk. The author this month is a Shell Point resident, Ted Boynton of Macoma, whose memoir discusses his photography during World War II, his job at Life magazine, and his many sailing adventures with his wife, Mary. Albert Myers of Junonia hosts this Library Book Talk, happening this afternoon at 2:15 p.m. in the Manatee Room on the island. We asked Ted and Mary to share some of their more adventurous sailing stories from their days on the sea.
I was born in Cleveland.
And she's a native Clevelander.
And we spent most of our life after the Second World War in the Cleveland area.
I had been flying as a flight radio operator over the Himalayan mountains from India to China during World War II. And a bunch of us were interested in photography. Well, when you got a lot of slides and pictures, you got to show them to somebody. So my mother, bless her, invited Mary's family on the day after Christmas to our house in the evening to see my slides.
We were married the 24th of June, 1944.
Here we are, and still in love, and still happy, and married. I sort of grew up in the magazine business. I ended up selling advertising for a number of magazines. I had 10 years with Life magazine, and they decided maybe they could do without me, and I was fired. Well, it was a wonderful, wonderful magazine to be fired by, and because I got a month's severance for every year I'd worked for them. So we had money coming out of our ears for a while, and I said to Mary, look, we may never have the time to do this. Let's go to Europe for a month. And she said, sure. And this is when I discovered that she has the same sense of adventure that I have. We were in a little restaurant in Italy, and there was another couple there. They had bought a little sailboat, and they were on their way down to the Greek islands for the winter. We were inspired. And I said, you know, I'd like to buy a sailboat. She says, go ahead. Well, we bought a 26-foot fiberglass sloop. We didn't know what a jib did. That's a front sail.
I can remember sitting and reading this book with terminology that we had no idea what it meant. A sheet and a halyard were just Greek to us.
We learned together. Our real first cruise on Lake Erie was from Vermilion, Ohio to Cedar Point. We got out in the middle of the lake, and one of the Lake Erie thunderstorms came through. And all of a sudden, we're flat on our side like this practically, and the sails are doing all kinds of crazy things. And so we finally got things under control, and we were very proud of ourselves. But the funny one was our young daughter, who was 6 or 7, our little daughter said, I was downstairs praying. We had a number of sailboats. We had 6 before we were through. Mary said, I'd really like to go out to St. Lawrence Seaway. And that was our first real cruise, all the way to Nova Scotia. We went to Newfoundland the next year. We had a chance to buy our final boat. It was a Kaiser Christina Ketch.
48 feet with the bowsprit, and it was a double head sail. The rigging was very good for 2 people to sail, and we managed it very well ourselves. For years, just the 2 of us.
So I said, okay, we'll name it after my wife, and it was named the Mary Constance. We sailed that boat across the Atlantic Ocean a year after we got it. We spent a year getting it ready for that. We were so busy trying to get sails adjusted and everything, and we didn't have time to get frightened. We were going to stop at Cape May and rest. And we were all so hyper, we figured, what the heck, none of us are going to sleep anyhow. We just went on. There are 3 ways you can cross the Atlantic. There's the northern route, which goes up to Newfoundland. There's the southern route, which goes down to the Bermuda and the Azores and that way. And then there's a central route. And we chose the central route, which is about 1,500 miles due east, 1,500 miles northeast.
Theoretically, that ought to be easy, because it's zoom, zoom.
But it wasn't.
We had headwinds for the first 2 weeks. Now, in a sailboat, you can't sail right into the wind. So we made these long tacks this way.
And you're pounding into the headwind, and the wind and the spray is hitting the boat, and it's tough. There were 5 of us aboard.
It was good, because we had to, of course, stand watches. I was on watch, and it was about 3 in the morning, and this boat, I could see the lights obviously big boat coming down on me, and I kept taking bearings on it to see, and it was right on our track, and I could see it. I knew how to operate the radio. Turned it on, and I said, "This is the yacht Mary Constance, do you see me?" And there was no response. Just about that time, the radio replied, and this foreign voice said, "I did not see you." He had altered course before he came back on the radio.
Coming dead at us. We said the red and the green lights were right this way. We were averaging 60 miles a day for the first 2 weeks. And at the end of 2 weeks, the crew was getting a little restless.
I was on watch about 4 in the morning. I saw the loom of the Fastnet Light, which is the tip of Ireland.
I wrote a note in the log.
That's in the book.
Captain sights mizzen head and Knockaman D. No doubloon for the crew. We were 33 days at sea. It was a long, hard trip. But then we had some wonderful experiences because what we did was sail all summer long.
We went to Scotland. From Scotland we went to Norway, went to Sweden, Denmark, West Germany, Holland, went across the English Channel to London, came back to Belgium. I kept changing courtesy flags every few days, it seemed. We picked up the boat and had the masts taken down, and we became a motorboat.
All the way through France to the Mediterranean.
And we went from Spain to Italy to Greece to Turkey.
We were docking in Yugoslavia. Mary was down preparing our supper, and I called down to her and said, "Can you come up and take the wheel? We're here." And she said, "Sure." And she came up and she had her apron on, and it was one of those lovely times when we absolutely aced the landing. It was perfect. When we dropped the anchor, we came in, I snubbed it off, I could step off the front of the boat, tie it up, and there was a guy on the dock, and he looked at my wife and he says, "And she cooks too." We had our boat stored one winter on the island of Calibra, which is halfway between the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. And Hurricane Hugo went right through the harbor. Boats were everywhere. Our boat dragged across the harbor, dragging another boat with it. We were very, very lucky. Our boat landed on sand on its side with 3 other boats stacked this way on it. We found the boat. I got into the cockpit, and in the cockpit was a barracuda, about a 4-footer, absolutely stinky. And then one day I was working on the boat, and I had to change a starter motor on the diesel. And it had a 75 horse diesel, and I was down in the bilge, curled up like in a fetal position, changing this starter. And when I uncoiled and got up from there, I said to Mary, "I can't do this anymore." And that's when we put the boat on the market. And that was the end of our real cruising. The things that really made us want to sail, to do what we did, was basically we were tourists on a boat. Only we were touring for months in the Mediterranean, where if you took a cruise, you were 2 weeks or something. Also, it was the people we met on other boats and ashore. We had friends ashore immediately. It was a wonderful way to travel.
If you'd like to hear more of these stories and see some of Ted's amazing pictures, then attend today's Library Book Talk happening at 2:15 p.m. in the Manatee Room on the island. It is a free event and light refreshments will be served. Now it's time to cover all of Tuesday's happenings from Resort Services, followed by your Academy News, menus, and Village Church connections.
Well, it's Tuesday, June 25th, and welcome to the Happenings segment of Shell Point TV. I'm Bev Chandley. This is Suzanne Savada, and we're going to go over today's activities here at Shell Point. We start bright and early at 7:15 with the Health Connections class. This one is Bend, Breathe, and Balance. They'll be meeting in the Health Club. At 8 o'clock, you'll find the Round Robin Men's Doubles Tennis. That'll be played at the Woodlands Tennis Courts. 8:15, the Stamp Ministry will be down in the Stamp Room in the tunnel. At 9:15, we have open painting down in the Art Studio. Our last 9:15 activity is Shuffleboard down at the Shuffleboard Court behind the Resident Activity Center. At 9:30, you'll find Match Play Mixed Doubles Tennis down at the tennis courts. Then we move down to 10:15, where Through the Bible Study Group will be in the Osprey Room. That concludes the morning lineup. Here's Suzanne continuing into the afternoon.
Thanks, Bev. We'll kick off our afternoon at 12:30 with Mixed Progressive Bridge in the game room at the Woodlands. At 1:15, the Knitters group will be in the Osprey Room on the island. We also have the Rollicking Recorders in the Tarpon Room in the tunnel. And at 1:15, we have the Women's Prayer Group meeting in the Hospitality Room of the Village Church. At 1:30, the Stamp Ministry will be meeting in the Sable Room at the Woodlands. At 2:15, the Library Book Talk will be in the Manatee Room on the island. And at 2:45, we have a Health Connections, Balance and Mobility, Training Level 2 in the Health Club on the island. And then we move to 3 o'clock, where we have a Health Connections, Pole Walking Insider Workshops. They will meet at the Village Church on the island. Sign up is required, and it's $10 per class. Our last activity of the day is at 7 o'clock, and it's a sweet night of summer music with Noah Waddell. This will be in the church auditorium on the island. We hope you have a great Tuesday, and we look forward to seeing you back here on Wednesday.
Hello, I'm Terry Coleth with your Academy information for Tuesday, June 25th. At 9:15, Developing Skills on Windows 7 continues in the Computer Teaching Center on the island. At 10 o'clock, Salala, Ancient Capital of Incense, will take place in the Grand Cypress Room of the Woodlands. Sign-up is required, and you can sign up right at the door. At 1 o'clock, we have the Holistic Impact of Humor. This will take place in the Grand Cypress Room of the Woodlands, and sign-up is required. Tomorrow we have a new class starting, Painting with Karen and Herb. That would be Karen Hubbard and Herb Sklar for those who have signed up. I'd like to take just a moment to tell you about the Pavilion Auxiliary Volunteer Update. Please look at page 4 of the weekly reminder for information, including registration for the monthly orientation. We have numerous opportunities to get involved with the auxiliary, serving residents in our Larson Pavilion. If you enjoy spending time with people, consider some of the following options. The mail committee needs sorters and deliverers. The beverage cart has a couple of openings. The flower committee has openings for those who would enjoy reworking the flowers from memorial services that are donated. Resident Relations completes a welcoming survey with new residents on our first floor rehab unit. And our new concierge committee offers relationship building opportunities with residents of the third floor. To reserve your spot in the orientation on Friday, July 26th, just call 454-2272, leave a message, and a confirmation will be mailed to you. We hope to see you there.
Menus for Tuesday. In the Crystal Room, the Crystal Platter is chicken marsala with angel hair pasta and asparagus. The dinner special is the Build Your Own Stir Fry Bar for $11.95, and the soup of the day is vegetarian vegetable. In the Island Cafe for lunch, enjoy fresh fruit with cottage cheese, a sliced tomato, and a hamburger patty for $6.95. For dinner, enjoy an open-face avocado bacon melt with a cup of soup for $7.95. Dinner specials on the Palm Grill on Tuesday are seared sirloin steak for $15.95 or shrimp and scallops for $16.95. All menus are available 24 hours a day at www.shellpoint.net.
Certainly the traditional anthems of the church are very meaningful to us. In this particular anthem, the choir is singing John Steiner's setting of the text, John 3:16, "For God so loved the world." As you're listening, you hear the choir uniting their hearts and voices and singing this beautiful musical expression of biblical truth. And it's a privilege for me to work with the church choir to share in ministry week after week. We sang this anthem just recently for our World Missions Festival, as Global Impact was celebrated in January. As you listen, you see the flags that display our concern for the world around us. but as the choir is singing, you hear this text brought to life once again, and I trust that you'll be inspired and appreciate the ministry of our church choir today as they sing for you John Stainer's God So Loved the World.
We're glad you joined us for today's show. Tune in tomorrow as our fitness instructors guide you through the senior fitness test coming in July. We'll also get up close and personal with some cute little critters and the Animal Refuge Center that cares for them. Until then, this is Shell Point Today for Tuesday, June 25th. I'm Rochelle Chernowski. From all of us here at Shell Point TV, we hope you have a great day and we'll see you again tomorrow.